and we're dead. And you people out there complained about me having a Christmas tree in the background. So you know what? There's no Christmas tree this week. I took it down. I dismantled it. You know what we do have?
He's I think he's showing off here.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Feast your eyes on this. Scrumdiddlyumptious.
Is
Right.
Cuff just a dyslexic version of UFC, or
Caribbean?
Was that a serious? That was a serious question. You know how many dumb questions I have to field on a daily basis like that? You know what one guy actually said, because Cuff is in the Caribbean and I won the belt in Trinidad? I'm like, yeah, I'm the champion down in the Caribbean. He's like, you're the Caribbean champion? You don't look Caribbean, bro.
right?
No, I don't look Caribbean. I just beat them up.
Oh, whoa. How did that get racial? How did that get
How's that racial? I do. I beat up Anthony Joseph. He's Caribbean.
So easily triggered. Anyway,
I sent him to the Shadow Realm.
Remember in the pre-pod when we spoke about keeping the intros short?
Yeah, we're going to keep it short. Anyways, guys, I'm going to hang these belts up and then... Hold on.
Oh, by the way, everyone, Stefano gave in to the peer pressure and got off his lazy ass. And
by the way, don't be using terms like pre-pod, man. Come on, this is you don't take people back into the sausage factory and show them how it's made. They're not gonna want to eat the sausage then.
You're right.
We should be. So, anyways, guys, we're the Leg Kick Podcast, backed by popular demand. And I'm your host, one of your hosts, Stefan Hosko, the new king of cringe. Quadruple C. We've got Michael, Joseph Kony impersonator Asiffo, and then we've got David. I'm yellow dabba dee dabba die over here.
Oh, wow.
And anything to say for yourself, boys, before we take a deep dive into it? No, you have nothing to say for yourselves. Disgusting.
Nothing today, sir.
Yeah. We paid. Yeah. We paid.
So before we, get into a nice announcements of the news, we've got a pretty decent fight night card to break down for you. We've got a bad take segment of the week. Always remember, hit that subscribe button. Please like us. You can find us where podcasts are found. We love doing this for you, but we are not going to do it for free for long. No, just kidding. We do it for the love. Anyways. Couple of pieces of news we have to get into. Very supple pieces of news. I think we'll lead with our strongest piece of news first. And I don't even know if you guys have heard about this because this is pretty breaking news. A very interesting fight has been made. And I think personally, give a little bit of excessive preamble, more matchups like this need to be made. Not that one of these fighters is necessarily a softball, but I think after a big loss, a step down in competition is a good thing for a big star. At least a step down in name value in this case. We have Tony Ferguson fighting Beneil Dariush.
Oh, that's a fun fight. That's a fun fight.
Now, obviously, Beneil Dariush's jiu-jitsu, as we saw in his last fight, is a minefield for anyone to navigate. But lending too much how much Beneil Dariush gets hit while he's pressuring, and how good Tony Ferguson is with intercepting strikes, and how much pressure he likes to apply himself, and questions about Beneil Dariush's chin. I'm probably seeing this going the way of Ferguson, but time will tell. Time will tell. It's a fun fight regardless.
Who's got questions about Beneil Dariush's chin?
Well, he did get cracked by Edson, and ever since then he does tend to get rocked. In every fight he bends, but he doesn't necessarily break.
He's been knocked out a couple times, but consistently he's wobbled in his fights.
Yeah,
not to say he's necessarily a weak chin, but when we're speaking, he doesn't have necessarily the chin that a lot of his other fighters in the division have.
Yeah, it's just weird. He bends, but he doesn't break with his chin. Like he always, it just seems like every fight he gets rocked to the point where he's about to get knocked out, but he just doesn't go there. With the exception of the Holtzman fight, where he just took Holtzman to school for the round.
And then next we have another fun fight announcement, less name value, but interesting nonetheless. Merab Dvalishvili versus Cody Stamann, booked for May the 1st. May the 1st be with you. Thoughts?
Wrestling.
Sorry. Go ahead, David.
That's it. Wrestling. Gonna watch some wrestling.
Wrestling. Suplex City. Merab Dvalishvili is a pleasure to watch. Yeah. Dominic Cruz like in that uses his movement to set up his takedowns and just pushes a relentless pace. Fun fighter. I'm excited for either of these guys to push through to the top of 35 eventually. Probably Merab.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was gonna say they both have they both have that trajectory of one day fighting for the title. So yeah, It'll be interesting to see who comes up tops this time. But I don't know. They're both really talented. Cody Stamann fought a bunch of times in during the pandemic. Well, we're still in the pandemic, but fought a bunch of times last year. I think won one, lost once, if I'm not mistaken, or something like that.
I think and his brother passed away during.
Yeah, because I remember that.
Sadly. Yeah.
And yeah,
he beat what's his name? Brian Kelleher, another pandemic hero. Lost to someone else, I believe. Yeah.
You know what? This is a new age. We don't have to be ignorant. We can just look at
Google
things up.
Yeah. Merab, this is going to be an interesting test. I think this is the walk before you can run matchup for him. Because I think clearly Merab should pull it out if, just based on kind of his previous performances, just how he's looking lately. Our teammate of Aljamain Sterling, by the way, and probably got Aljamain in a little bit of trouble posting a 1-2 photo. But anyway.
Can we talk about that a little bit? Because some of the backlash has just been ridiculous. But we can finish the news. We can finish the news.
It's been stupid.
It's been stupid. We'll get to it, though.
Anyways, next piece of news, Megan Anderson's contract is expired. We don't know what's exactly going to happen to her. But it looks like the UFC might be setting the sun on the 145 division. I gave a bit of a soliloquy on this last week, how I think women's 145 would actually be better served outside the UFC right now. Let it grow, let it develop, let it get to the level of legitimacy of, 115.
Do the WEC thing. Give it the WEC treatment. Yeah.
PFL will pick it up. Some of their other stars after Nunes retires, PFL, Bellator, one of these people, and one of these leagues. And there, quietly, the 45-pound division can grow. Some of these women can get more experience, maybe Invicta, and it'll be good for the division. And then when it gets, it'll be like UFC did with the 155 division back in the day. Although back in the day, that was a stupid move because 155 was an incredibly deep division. And the UFC is just like, yeah, we're cutting this.
ONE FC, this is your chance. This is your chance. This is the chance you've been waiting for.
Yeah. I didn't always know that I wanted to be a brain surgeon. But then I saw Megan Anderson get brain damage by Amanda Nunes. And showed me that I need to help people
not funny.
And help them repair their brains.
I'm going to hell. For that one.
Sorry, Megan, I apologize. That was awful. You're probably not. As someone who suffered terrible concussions myself and probably has a slew of brain damage, especially from my last fight, I can say this out of experience. I can relate to you, and it's terrible. I'm sorry, that was a bad joke. I'm more making fun of one.
It just goes to show, though. It just goes to show we were all questioning why the UFC was rushing Megan into this title fight. Why the UFC keeps rushing people into title fights and champions.
They have no one else.
They have no one else, and
A, pandemic matchmaking. B, 145, 135. Amanda Nunes has nuked 135, and 45 wasn't really a division to begin with. So, she has a certain amount of fights per year that she has to have, as do all fighters in the UFC. If they don't have those fights per year, then the UFC has to pay them their purse out and out that they for those 3 fights, as long as they're not turning down fights. And I think it's that simple.
Yeah. Well, and honestly,
on that note. Sorry, I was gonna say on that note, this was kind of Megan Anderson was kind of placed in that Henry Cejudo role of you win this or else, right? Kind of remember when he was facing TJ Dillashaw and it was Henry Cejudo needs to win to save the division, right? And I kind of saw it as that kind of fight anyway.
Those kind of stakes, yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Megan, it didn't go the Henry Cejudo way that night. So yeah, it's kind of obvious this was where this was going to go. I just feel bad for our Canadian sister in Felicia Spencer. Right?
Yeah, it's too bad because you see people like Megan and you see people like Felicia coming out of good camps. They have some legitimate skills and there's potential there that can be developed, but they're just not there yet. And they need some time more time competing at the highest level with those sorts of stakes to kind of put it together and learn how to compete at that level. But unfortunately, they're just not afforded that. And, it's disappointing. Yeah. Next piece of news. Looks like Triple C's back, guys.
Oh, God.
I am excited. Oh, God. Come on. A fight between him and Peter Yan. I don't know. I like his cringy trash talk. He calls Peter Yan the ugly potato. I like it. Also, he's one of the few people that can pose a significant threat in the grappling department against Peter Yan, I think.
You think so? I mean, wasn't that kind of the narrative of Sterling going in? Sterling is a D3 wrestler, has that grappling background. If anything...
Hey, man. D3 is not an Olympic gold medalist.
Yeah,
D3 is impressive. It's not to knock Aljo's credentials. D3 is an impressive, but Henry Cejudo is one of the best American wrestlers ever.
It's him, Kurt Angle, and that's basically it.
Take it easy.
Oh, there's also what's his name? The guy that beat
Cael Sanderson.
Sorry,
Cael Sanderson. What's his name? Also, the guy that competed in the early UFCs, the one in the Foxcatcher documentary.
The Schultz brothers.
Schultz brothers. Yeah, there's them too.
Brothers. Yeah.
Anyway, my question was going to be, what makes him one of the best? Just quickly, really quickly.
He won a gold. He's the youngest Olympic gold medalist.
I think David means technically though.
One of the best.
His ability to, first of all, he wrestles in a way that is unique. Usually people in MMA, from what I've seen, they like to shoot on the legs. They prefer upper body takedowns. Cejudo is so good at chaining both together. He brings a variety of takedowns, first of all, that I haven't seen with a ton of fighters at a super high level. Like his inside trip and his ankle pick are legendary. And his techniques that he does well, for example, let's go with his inside trip because that's what he's renowned for. He has a million different setups for it and a million different ways of funneling you into it. And he's as well is one of the few where he comes from such a sophisticated grappling pedigree and was really able to build a striking style that, not only is fluid and well thought out and takes advantage of a lot of, for example, that step back right hand counter that he uses, or left hand. Is he a southpaw? I don't know why I can't remember. Anyways, but that plays into his grappling style amazingly. Like you see a lot of high level wrestlers coming into MMA and not exactly blending the arts very well. Cejudo not only has the high level mixed martial arts wrestling, right? Wrestling that translates well to mixed martial arts, but blends it with his other skills so incredibly. Also a strategic genius. Like what he did to Dominic Cruz was nothing short of brilliant.
Yeah. No, I was gonna say, he's really good at breaking you down off of the inside position when he wrestles, because it's not just the inside trip. He's got a really good double underhook takedown that he likes to go to, where he's not necessarily suplexing you, but he gets his head right into your chest and just breaks you down. That you don't see often anymore in his later career because of that karate stance, but he had it early.
Go on. Sorry.
So go ahead. No, I was gonna say, what I will say though, from just an overall fight perspective, is I don't want us. I think because of public opinion on Aljo has changed so violently, I do want to caution people not to forget about Aljo, because I think where Aljo gives Peter Yan problems that Henry Cejudo doesn't necessarily do is a very comprehensive jiu-jitsu game. So once they're on the ground, who's better, right? But I know Aljo couldn't get Yan there the first time, but Aljo is a better jiu-jitsu player in theory. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
but
We'll see how this plays out. I mean, obviously getting it to the ground to apply those skills is a big thing. Like if you're Damian Maya versus, let's say, I don't know, Damian Maya probably has better jiu-jitsu than most people in the world, but he's going to struggle to get it to the mat because of limited athleticism, limited striking skills. To be fair, like he did put a decent game together with, his left cross and his single leg to get people to the mat. But someone like, let's say, Kamaru Usman doesn't have half the offensive jiu-jitsu that Damian Maya does, but just because he's able to apply his wrestling in the correct way, you're going to see more of it.
all right. Okay. Do we have any other news?
Yeah, couple more things to get through here. Let's see. Through that. And this one is just more speculation, but I thought it was bore mentioning. Next in line for Israel Adesanya, probably going to be Darren fucking Chill.
Oh, the
How's
winner
that
of
even
him versus
possible?
Marvin Vettori.
Isn't
Yeah.
Till coming off a loss?
Well, I guess it's the winner of him versus Marvin Vettori, but even still, you are right. What about Robert Whitaker?
Yeah, he is the one who interests me most in that potential matchup. Oh, Corey Sandhagen versus TJ Dillashaw also in the works.
Till is coming off a loss to Whitaker. What the hell?
Well, I guess the argument is if, let's say, Costa beats Whitaker, right, and then Till beats Vettori, right? Well, Vettori beat Hermanson, who Hermanson was in number, what was it, 4 or 3, somewhere around there, right? If Till beats Vettori, Till is the only one who hasn't necessarily lost or lost to some, isn't necessarily someone who's lost to Israel Adesanya, is a fresh matchup and is a big name to the fans. So why not have those two fight?
Because Darren Till is 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Yeah. No, it's
and
true.
also just quickly on Marvin Vettori, because I've been seeing online that people want this push for him to have an Adesanya fight. He's coming off a run, 4-fight win streak, which is pretty decent. But Cesar Ferreira, Andrew Sanchez, Carl Baby K, Roberson, who I know is your favorite fighter, and that Jack Hermanson win, which was an upset to say the least, and was not Jack Hermanson's best performance.
He laid an egg that night.
Yeah. But that's not
which
exactly
he does,
like a row. With all due respect to those gentlemen, but you can't really say he's been battle tested
Don't respect
yet.
Roberson. Don't respect Roberson that much. Don't worry about him.
I'm not doing this with you, Ben.
don't worry about Roberson. He's gonna come over and kick my ass. But,
yeah, baby K.
But yeah.
In conclusion, Darren Till doesn't deserve the shot next.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much what I said. He's 1-3 in his last 4 fights.
Darren fucking Chill. I think he could actually present interesting stylistic matchups for the division, but I don't think he's ready yet. But he'll fight any of you cunts.
Yeah.
That's not too bad. That's not bad, Darren Till.
I'd like to see him fight Israel Adesanya. He's one of those matchups where I think stylistically it could be interesting, but he has to work his way through that murderous row. It's kind of like Bisping with Anderson Silva. There was always something in his style, namely his ability to work behind a jab and feint and really offset significant counter punchers. That gave Anderson Silva a lot of trouble, and he ended up beating him for that reason. But he couldn't get his way through wrestlers who he always kind of struggled against.
Yeah, no, it's true.
So let's see.
Here's a segue. If we're ready for it. Till was also another person who accused Aljo of faking it.
Wait, what? Seriously? Come on, Darren. You're better than that.
This is fake news. Who cares? I honestly, for me, it's not even that. I've voiced my opinion, but faking it or not, I don't care. He shouldn't have had to. If he's 10% hurt, he shouldn't have to continue fighting.
The best take I've heard on this is honestly Chael Sonnen's take, where people seem to be absolving or just even criticizing Sterling for taking the belt and saying he shouldn't get the belt when the other guy cheated. We can say, he didn't mean to do it, it was an accident, but the rules state if you're disqualified, the other guy gets the belt. And Sterling doesn't even get the choice. Like, it isn't even like he can reject the belt. Like, he's automatically given the belt. He threw it down and still had to pick it up. So,
yeah,
what's the point of
I hate the
criticizing?
fact he had to go on air. He had to go with MMAJunkie.com and explain that he was basically forced by his family to put the belt on when he got home, right? Like,
I could see,
Yeah.
right? I don't understand. Okay, a couple things. First of all, no one's a doctor here, but everyone likes to make these sweeping accusations about what a concussion looks like, what it doesn't look like, etc., etc. Stop, right? Stop. Second of all, right, and this is the big one, I don't understand where we live in a world where if Eddie Alvarez can get booed, a fan favorite Eddie Alvarez can get booed for illegally kneeing Dustin Poirier, and Dustin Poirier not being able to continue despite being fully awake, right? He can get booed, but Peter Yan is a sympathetic figure?
well, I guess it's a race thing, Mike.
No,
anyway,
this is actually one of the few times I'm not calling race. This is actually one of the few times I'm not calling race.
I mean,
on Peter Yan's part, I think, regardless if it was intentional, I don't think it necessarily matters, and it was an illegal strike, and Aljo couldn't continue. I don't believe that he had ignorance over the rule. I'm changing my opinion a little bit since last time because the corner debacle doesn't really mean much to me. There's no scenario in which that knee is allowed. And even if it's accidental, as a fighter, you got to have control over your weapons. That's why if you throw 3 nut shots in a row, but they're all accidental, let's say, it doesn't matter. You got to control your weapons, and you will get a point deduction, possibly disqualification for that. At best, a no contest. So, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
No sympathy. We're running out of time, but no sympathy. I hate the narrative. I hate the fact that you got old fighters coming back. I don't even know what the agendas are. It's kind of like, why are you throwing this man under the rug for literally no reason other than
I think it's a race thing.
I mean,
anyways.
Do you actually? No, like
I'm not gonna disagree.
No, I was trolling you guys. It's not a race thing. Anyways.
No, because I actually don't. I don't think it's a race thing. And you guys know I'm the first one to call it. I'm the first one to call.
Okay, good. No race baiting from Mike. Perfect. All right, let's get to the UFC card. We're all in unanimous agreement. It's not a race thing. Perfect.
No, we're not.
Yes, we are. Anyways, the official position of the Leg Kick podcast is that it is not a race thing. Anyways, David, fall in line.
Yeah.
All right, fine. Let's
talk about the fight. Let's talk about the fight.
So, anyways, we have a interesting, kind of flying under the radar main event this weekend. I have done my research. I don't know if you gentlemen have, but I certainly have, and I'm excited. Bet on this one going the distance. Leon Edwards versus Belal Muhammad in the main events of UFC Fight Night. Edwards versus Muhammad. Wow, that's unexpected. Before I start nerding out over here, you guys want to say anything?
I like Belal Muhammad. I just don't like him enough to beat Leon Edwards.
Yeah, Leon Edwards is nice, man.
Yeah. But I actually do like Belal Muhammad. I think he's a good young fighter. I think he's an interesting prospect, and he's got some interesting tools about him. Solid wrestler. Very, very he's fast, actually. He's fast.
Fast he is, yeah. And what makes this matchup interesting for me is the contrast of styles and the interesting ranges at which this is going to play out. So Leon Edwards, hell of a clinch fighter he's become, right? Very disciplined about getting his head underneath yours, using overhooks and underhooks, and he'll get to what I call an L position in the clinch, where it's almost like the end result of when you shrimp and you're in an L, right? But so your hips are backed away from your opponent, but you're applying pressure directly under their head with your head. And from there, he's not the most active in clinches, but what he's very good at is neutralizing you by cross wrist gripping, pinning your head up against the cage, and from there, he just patiently goes to work, knee and elbow combinations. And whenever there's a break, whenever he breaks out of the clinch, there's an elbow waiting for you consistently. And it hurts people consistently. Dropped Gunnar Nelson with it, hurt RDA. Like just about every fight he lands that elbow and it either cuts you or changes the dynamic of the fight some way. At range, patient, really rarely offensively pursues anything. Like hustles after it. He won't even offensively pursue clinches. He kind of just falls into them and goes to work from there. No,
you kind of hit the nail on the head. He takes what you give him, right? I think Belal, obviously with some mixing up, I think his best advantage would be in shooting. He's a very fast shooter. Fast shooter.
He's a fast shooter and he's a swarmer.
Yeah. And
like he's the definition of a swarmer, more or less.
Yeah, for sure. And Leon Edwards has shown a susceptibility to shooters in some fights. The one that sticks out to me, I know it's probably the best wrestler in the division, is Kamaru Usman, where Kamaru Usman's not really known for shooting. He's a suplex guy, particularly a side suplex. And
upper body takedowns largely.
Exactly.
When he does shoot, it's like a short little level change.
Exactly. And he got Leon Edwards a lot. Now, it was a long ass time ago, for sure, but
to be fair, Leon Edwards, in recent times, he's been a lot better, I think, about stopping takedowns, like in his last fight against RDA. RDA went 0 for however many takedowns he went. Just, shut him down, was a brick wall in that regard, and really used those clinch positions as advantageous. Where I see for Belal Muhammad, what I like about him, First of all, you've got a guy who doesn't pursue the finish and another guy who doesn't have the power to finish. So Belal Muhammad he's a swarmer. He does great work standing just outside of range, feinting, constantly moving his upper body, and then enters in on his own terms, usually on the body, and then working his way up. Just jabbing you until you respond, and then works his way from the body up. Has an excellent overhand, works in leg kicks well. Has a good shot up against the fence. Where I think his main danger in this fight is, in order to get to his comfort zone, which is on the mat and wrestling, right? Although he shows aptitude swarming on the feet as well, he has to walk through Leon Edwards's most
first,
Yeah. So when you shoot, if you get turned down, it's not like the Diego Lima fight where you can just get back to work at range. You're going to get tied up in a clinch and possibly cut up and hurt on the exit, right? So he's got to walk through the fire to get to,
It's not even just the clinch, though, Stefano. It's the Leon Edwards is a monster with the snap kick, right? Leon Edwards is a master of this of the front kick. Leon Edwards is really good at basically keeping you at keep away with his distance weapons. So I would say that, in my opinion, I think what it comes down to is, can Belal Muhammad's speed get past Leon Edwards' distance management, right? And also basically the tools that Leon Edwards has to avoid turning this into a trading war or a brawl, so to speak.
What do you think is most likely, a brawl or a more strategic fight, or like a grappling fight? Not to say that grappling isn't strategic, but
I can see a world. I think it's going to most likely be this: Leon Edwards keeps Belal Muhammad at bay. Belal Muhammad is frustrated and just doesn't get the presence of mind. Like most fighters, that's no shame to Belal Muhammad, but just doesn't have the presence of mind to really figure out a way to get past Leon Edwards if Leon Edwards comes correct. But some outside factors for you is that Leon Edwards hasn't fought in a long ass time. So there's always a possibility Leon Edwards doesn't come finely tuned,
Mm-hmm.
And if that's the case, maybe Leon Edwards gives up a couple exchanges that he wouldn't have normally given up. And Bilal Muhammad can score a little from there, gain some confidence, and on the same process take away Leon Edwards' confidence, and all of a sudden, it's a 5-rounder, but all of a sudden Leon Edwards has to push himself a little more. Leon Edwards has to get some rounds back. Leon Edwards has to win some exchanges, and Leon Edwards is not very good when he has to lead the dance.
You think so? What evidence of that? Just do you have?
Well, you know what?
Maybe Kamaru fight.
I
wouldn't even say he was leading the dance of the Kamaru one because that's not really Kamaru's style. So,
you know what? I'll say this. I don't think it's not that he's not good at it. It's just that that's not his game. That's not his primary game. So, what I'm saying is that what happens? I don't think this fight's going to be the fight to do it. But what happens when Leon Edwards is down 1 round to nothing, 2 rounds to nothing, 3 rounds to nothing?
He's going to go for the knockout.
Well, sure, but that's not, again,
that's not his game. No. Right? Realistically, though, Leon, let's give Leon some props. He's a good strategic fighter. His stand-up is good. His anti-wrestling, or at least defensive wrestling, is pretty good. And yeah, I think he has shown enough in his time in the UFC to show he's at the top of the food chain. He's beaten a lot of top guys. So I honestly think he's gonna be giving Belal some problems in this fight. But you never know. I don't see it being a brawl. I definitely seeing it be more of a tactical, strategic fight. Man.
You know what's something that really troubled two things that really trouble Leon Edwards that I've seen, though, that could work in Belal Muhammad's favor. Mm-hmm. Number one, he gasses, and I think that's not disputable. He gasses late. He gassed in the Gunnar Nelson fight. He gassed in the RDA fight. And it perplexes me because for someone with such an energy-efficient style that, really doesn't pursue the fight in the way that other fighters might, that Belal Muhammad fights. If you saw their two styles, you would expect Belal Muhammad to be the one that gasses. But it's not the case. Leon Edwards somehow managed to fight conservative fights and gas. And another thing that I noticed really troubles him, he has nightmares with that leg kick from the outside from people that are able to fight in southpaw. RDA, southpaw, and stole around from him just based on leg kicks. So if Belal Muhammad can take this fight into the later rounds and possibly use that leg kick to knock him out of his stance and then enter in with combinations, he might have a good chance of winning this fight. Will he win? Probably not.
But my thing is, that's not Belal's game. Well, Belal does push you. He does push pace, but he's not a leg kicker, right?
He utilizes leg kicks as a part of his style, though. It's not a focal point of his game, but, not necessarily as a damaging weapon, but just to knock Edwards out of his stance, open up his stance a little bit, and then pursue body work. And
I don't see it. I think if it stays a stand-up battle, it's gonna be pretty 1-0 in my opinion. I just think
in favor of Edwards.
Yes,
Edwards' stand-up is not that spectacular. I gotta be honest.
But I think it's solid enough, and I think he has a power advantage in this one.
I just think he's a bear. I just think. Sorry, David, go ahead.
No, that's it. I would say for me, I just think as Michael said, if you can keep him at bay, keep him in range. If it gets into a striking battle, I just have my money on Edwards a little bit more because I think he's a little bit savvier when it comes to striking, but I haven't seen a lot of Belal, to be fair.
Definitely precise. Edwards will not. Yeah. One thing that I think he's good about on the feet at range is he never lets you get the last word in exchanges generally, whether it's coming underneath your straight punches and hitting uppercuts or that check left hook. Generally, he'll keep it's that tit for tat, never be the last one. Sorry, he'll never be the first one in the exchange, but he will generally be the last one to end it out. Mm-hmm. But that's going to be interesting dynamic to play out with that combined with Belal Muhammad's pressure.
Yeah, no, I just think Leon Edwards is the better tactician. But hey, look, again, like I mentioned, if Leon Edwards has taken a lot of time off, so maybe he doesn't come in with all the screws tightened up. Maybe there's some rust, and if Belal can catch him,
look at that guy. That guy never leaves the gym. He
Yeah,
never leaves the gym. You know the kind of guy that is. And that's why I like Leon Edwards. You know he's the quiet guy. Anyway, let me not start putting some weird
look,
he's not quiet.
but
He's anything but quiet.
He's always in shape. Like always in shape. I have no doubt that dude like works out constantly. So
then why is he gassing in the later rounds?
I don't know. Well, maybe it's one of those muscle things. Maybe it's like, he's a very fast twitch fighter a lot of the time. I don't know.
But if you're fighting efficiently, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand why he's gassing in the later rounds. It makes no sense to me. But
maybe it's the traveling and he has to. I don't know. Now we're just making stuff up.
Maybe it's because Mercury was in retrograde.
Exactly. The crystals. Anyway.
Crystals. Anyways, next we have our light heavyweight co-main event. This is a big card for the Canadians. The two, I believe, highest ranked Canadian fighters in the UFC. Going to war, and the first one being Misha Cirkunov, someone who I've had the pleasure of training with once or twice in the past, fighting overrated contender of the year, Ryan Spann.
Is Ryan Spann like to you what Carl Robertson is to me? Like,
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Why is Ryan Spann overrated?
Because
he's just not very technically sound. Yeah, like. But you know what? Like, this is, again, like, almost in a weird way, kind of like the Jamal Hill, Pandora's box or Pandora's fighter dynamic, where what happens when you take a fighter, take a guy who is an athlete, may have done some other sports,
Wait, who are you, Forrest Gump athlete?
Ryan Spann's an athlete. What you
no, I know you said athlete, though, like Forrest Gump.
Oh, my bad.
The best thing about being shot in the buttocks is you get lots of ice cream. Anyways, go on.
No, but, like, what happens when you take a person who is athletic, maybe did another sport, and he trains and commits himself the right way, right? There's a lot more margin for error, and Ryan Spann, if for nothing else, has a lot of margin for error, versus a guy in Misha Cirkunov who, and Stefano can attest to this, he's a meticulous guy especially ground game. When it comes to his ground game, meticulous. Right?
Have I mentioned probably the story a million times about how I rolled with Misha Cirkunov, and he literally found a way to completely minimize his strength, and it felt like a 135-pounder was gliding on top of me. This man's jiu-jitsu is, without a doubt, the best jiu-jitsu we have maybe in Canada, with the exception of, maybe Rob, Spider.
Oh, yeah. No, maybe Monkey too.
Monkey?
In Sudbury.
Monkey?
Yeah, Monkey in Sudbury.
That's the short list right there as far as Canadian jiu-jitsu guys. No disrespect if I miss out on anyone, but as far as I know, like these guys are on the short list. It should be interesting. Ryan Spann, sloppy. Managed to get beat up by an ancient little nog. I don't know.
He won the fight, though.
Yeah, but come on.
I know.
I don't see the upper limits of of where he can go to this division. I think in this division we've kind of already seen them. Misha Cirkunov, while he does have incredibly advanced jiu-jitsu, he's going to run into problems when he faces people who are really going to be able to, like your Glover Teixeiras, or people who are going to be able to stop him from getting to those positions. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's an interesting little fight. I probably see Misha coming out with a submission.
The thing about Misha is, and he trains just down the road on the 427. But his boxing's not bad, but he does tend to struggle against explosive guys, right? Guys who, right? Like guys who I wouldn't say are more athletic, but guys who are fast, right? And who can just kind of turn it on in a second. And Ryan Spann is that guy. So could Ryan Spann catch him? It's actually very possible, in my opinion. Will he catch him? I would probably guess not. So I would agree.
Now, in our co-main, in a matchup of wild stance switching, we've got Nova Scotia's own Gavin Tucker against Dan Ige, a man coming off of a loss to Calvin Cater and a win against Edson Barbosa. And this is a big, big fight for our Canadian boy because, Dan Ige is, other than, your champion and a few of your bigger names at 45, he's the top of the division.
Yeah, he's right up there. Yeah.
And I think we're going to see a lot of wild stance switching. And, Tucker should look to get his kicking going early. We'll see if he can apply his wrestling or if that's even going to be a facet in this game, given Dan Ige's jiu-jitsu. But Gavin Tucker, while we haven't seen a lot of him on the mat in the UFC, black belt under Renzo Gracie. So it speaks for itself.
Yeah, he's legit. Yeah. I definitely see, look, I can see a world where Dan Ige shuts Gavin Tucker down in the striking and turns this into a wrestling match. But for some reason, I really like Gavin Tucker's chances here. Like, I don't know what it is about Dan Ige's striking that gives me concern on his end, but I really like Gavin Tucker's striking here.
Yeah, Gavin Tucker's striking is it's masterful. That shifting uppercut that he hits coming out of range. One of the few people that makes use of double kicks. Just a pleasure to watch all around.
Well, the problem is though, like, because he does like the stand switch, he's going to leave himself susceptible to a takedown. And that's not Dan Ige's game in the UFC per se, but it's in his back pocket that he can go to.
It's in his back pocket. I mean, didn't he win against TriStar Product?
Oh, why am I forgetting his name?
The Light Kick Podcast, brought to you by CTE.
Yeah. What's that? Let me pull him up.
But
I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, Mirsad Bektik, primarily, renowned for his jiu-jitsu. So, this is the top of the division, and it's going to be an interesting one for our boy, G-Tuck.
So, yeah. Like, I hate to put you on the spot here because he is a Canadian guy, but you think G-Tuck's got this one or?
Don't do this to me, Mike.
Yeah.
Don't do this to me. It's a big step up in competition.
It's huge.
And I think if he fights a disciplined game plan, I think he can beat Dan Ige, yes.
Yeah.
Do I think it's a given, like a lot of his other fights have been? Not necessarily.
Dude, I even thought he was going to lose.
Potential is definitely going to be tested. I think he can absolutely pull this off. Yeah.
Hey, man, that's fair. Look, in fairness, I thought he was going to lose against Billy Q, but that's because Billy Q's like a guy I really like. So,
I did not think that, Gavin.
No, yeah, you were completely right on that one. So, I'm gonna trust in the striking Gavin Tucker here. Like it's a big step up though. It's a
big step up.
It's a huge step up. And again, that invisible striking difference where it's like, oh, he looks good against, everybody else, but once he gets in the top 7, it's night and day, right? So you never know.
Anybody else you want to talk about on the card? On the undercard, we've got Charles Jourdain fighting someone I don't believe I've had the pleasure of watching, but another very fun Canadian, Air Jourdain. We've got the return of Manel Cape taking on Matthias Nicolau.
Eric Anders, Darren Stewart, bangers. That should be good.
I'm looking forward to Darren Stewart's corner team. Do you remember one of the last times he was in the octagon when he won by guillotine? I don't remember who that was against. Do you remember his corner?
Oh, Mackie Patolo, and his corner was just crazy.
His corner was hilarious. It's like he brought in one of his friends off the street who hadn't trained. His corner was like, fuck him up, Darren, fuck him up. Yeah, that's right, fuck him up. And then when we got anywhere near the clinch, they'd be, guillotine. And then they'd separate, fuck him up, Darren, fuck him up.
I remember that, actually.
And he won.
Yeah.
It was
Man,
a
Fort
So
Mackey,
maybe
though.
that's what he
Mackey's-
needs. He needs to feel like it's an actual fight.
he won by guillotine, so the
They were
corner,
saying something right.
they did their job.
Man.
Darren the
Compare
dentist.
that.
I like him. Is Eric Anders dropping down weight divisions, or am I reading that wrong?
You know
I
what?
thought it was light heavyweight.
Anders has fought at middleweight before, though. He fought Machida at middleweight, did he not? Let's see,
Yeah.
Christoph Jotko at middleweight. So he's been at middleweight for quite a while now. His last light heavyweight fight was 2019, April 13th.
Was that against Roundtree?
Khalil Roundtree, yeah, that was his last light heavyweight fight. And
He got lit up. Like
he got lit up. To be honest, it's one of only two middleweight fights here in the one of only two light heavyweight fights he's had in the UFC. But for some reason, yeah, I think of him when it comes to my head as a light heavyweight as well. But yeah,
He has a loss against Thiago Santos, which is also a light heavyweight as well.
There should be a good
For
one.
some reason, sorry, like you, for some reason I had him as a light heavyweight. But
he's a fun all-rounder. I like when he can make use of his wrestling. That's always good. He's got a very good eye for an opening, good finishing instinct. Like that one knockout he had, was it Vinicius Moreira? Which is the knockout he got where no, I can tell you exactly who it was against. It was the Tim Williams fight. Do you guys remember that? Where as Tim Williams is doing a technical stand-up, he waits just for the second where Williams' hand leaves the ground and hits him with a head kick. He's got a good eye for a finish.
Yeah. Well, see, you know it's crazy? Jan could have benefited from that eye there. Jan could have, No? Okay.
Yeah, oh, definitely.
Did it.
So, well, they can't all be zingers, Mike. So that's the card that comes up. That will be. And be sure to check us out Sunday after the fights. Oh, yeah, we've got a bad take segment.
I was about to say.
Guys, do the music.
Bad take of the week with
Bad take.
Stefano.
bad take.
Cha-cha-cha. Jazz hands. Graphic impending. Anyways, so my bad take of the week is something that if you've ever watched an MMA card with me, or a UFC card particularly, you've probably heard me complain about it. Guys, can we stop talking about how the leg kick changed the game? The low leg kick. I'm looking at you, Joe Rogan. I get it. It's been, 4 years? 5 years? I get it. It's an effective technique. Can we stop mentioning it on every single broadcast? When a left hook works and knocks someone out, do we talk about how, wow, the left hook has really changed the game? Guys are going to, and then, for 2 minutes straight, just go on about the left hook while these two guys are going to war. I don't want to hear about it. I'm sorry, I'm done. It's here to stay. It's an important part of the meta now, and it needs to be treated as seriously as you would a punch to the head, because clearly it has the same fight-ending consequences. I've heard some other terrible takes that it needs to be banned because it's effective. Well, what is this?
What?
Why?
What?
Why? Is that what we do in mixed martial arts? We ban things when they're effective? Why not ban any particular finishing technique that could end a fight? Like, why not ban shots to the head then? It boggles my mind. But it's here to stay. It's been here to stay. And, if I have to hear one more time on a UFC broadcast, commentators going on for 5 minutes about how it's changed the game, I might just jump off the balcony.
We won't stop you, brother. No, I'm kidding.
It's just how the Muay Thai clinch is just the most devastating position you can find yourself in, right? Once they have you with the hands clapped, it's pretty much good night, right?
That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. And that good analogy, because when Anderson Silva used that against Rich Franklin for the first time, people were like, oh my God, how are you going to stop that? Well, you get double underhooks, you press your body, chest to chest with them so that they can't start unleashing knees. There's something in biology called the Red Queen theory. And the Red Queen theory essentially talks about how in ecosystems, parasites will evolve alongside their host, right? To become more and more advanced. As the host evolves, the parasite evolves. And game plans and metas within MMA can be thought of similarly, right? Sometimes maybe a parasite or a disease within an ecosystem will come and just wreak havoc. But eventually, at some point down the line, organisms and systems adapt. right? They adapt, they find answers to them. And there's already answers out there, retracting the leg. Jose Aldo was able to check a low kick against Jan, I believe.
Yeah,
right?
and stopped him dead. Jan didn't want to throw a single one after.
So there's answers to this. There's Jack Slack has been avid about feinting a lot to bait out that low kick, make them miss, and then enter in range. It's not some mystical, it's not some lightning bolt from the sky that there's no answer to.
Yeah. Like, well, see, that's the problem. My problem is not that they go on about it. Like, at
Which
least
they
if
do.
they like, which they do. But it's the idea. Yeah.
Every
It's the
fight.
idea. Okay, brother, you gotta let me speak. Stop.
Sorry.
I'm kidding. But I think it's treating it like this all holy, no one can stop, indestructible move. That honestly, it's not, because it was a thing in Muay Thai early, and you want to know why they went to the thigh? Because guys just started getting light on their front foot. That's it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Being light on your front foot, it will leave you in MMA vulnerability for the takedown, right? But it's not like you can't modify certain things, to make it work. Certain people are light on their front foot in MMA. For example, Jorge Masvidal makes it work very well.
Yeah. And does it from boxing, which is so weird. But the point is that there are tools to stop it. There are
many tools. Yeah. There's answers here.
Right? Just like the clinch, just like the check hook, just like a high kick. There are tools. And you can stop it. And it's okay to just, it's not that you don't have to treat it like it's this mystical, esoteric thing, right?
Yeah. The low leg kick. And I think what surprises a lot of people is the fight finishing potential of it. But guys, do we have to act surprised 5 years later when this has been applied consistently at a high level to great effect?
Yeah.
I just don't want, I'm tired of hearing the commentators acting surprised. Then again, certain commentators on their podcast tend to be a little bit repetitive as well.
Yeah,
so,
including us. And I don't want to ever hear anybody complaining about soccer players diving ever again, okay? Now that we've established that calf kicks are painful,
what do you mean? You don't want to hear them complaining? I'm Italian and I'm going to complain about soccer players diving.
Have you been kicked on the calf?
Yes, David, I've been kicked on the calf consistently.
We'll take.
I fight other people in a cage. Okay. I've been kicked on the calf 1 or 2 times. You know what happens to me? I suck it up and try and land a right hand on their face and put them on their back.
Well, I'm sure if you could roll on the floor and get a goal for your team, you would too. So there you go.
Roll on the floor, and then they bring out the magic spray. I got this can of Febreze, guys.
The stretcher.
Come on.
Come on. Anyway,
if I were, in all seriousness, I know we're a bit off topic, but this is kind of like the end of the podcast anyways. If I were some kind of officiating, I don't know, someone who made the rules in some major soccer organization, my God, I would penalize faking so hard.
Oh,
I would like.
NBA. So you must not like winning.
It didn't work.
Huh?
So you must not like winning.
NBA.
But David, it takes away from the sport.
Okay, that would be like, fainting in MMA takes away from the sport.
No, it would be like, let's see.
Grabbing shorts takes away from the sports or something like that, like a minor penalty.
No, because this isn't, fainting is a part of the game that's applied to great effect. Faking being hit in soccer is, it's gaming the system.
It's part of the dark arts in every sports, just like grabbing shorts, grabbing gloves, that kind of stuff.
Not analogous.
But you know what they did in MMA? They banned it, right? They banned it. If you do
Come on, man. I was just watching John Jones versus, I think it was Chael Sonnen, and John Jones is grabbing Chael Sonnen's shorts.
Anderson Silva did it blatantly.
The entire time. It's
Jose
crazy.
Aldo did it against Chad Mendes.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I agree with shorts grabbing, but I'm saying I don't think they're analogous at all. Shorts grabbing isn't something that's ruined the sport of MMA in such a way that, it's made the game unwatchable for the vast majority of people who are not brainwashed initiates You know what I mean? Like,
I just think
that's what it's done for
North
soccer,
America
though. Like,
has a problem with toxic masculinity and can see men rolling in pain on the floor.
wait, hold on. So David. That's very sexist. You're accusing women of faking pain because you think manning up is a male thing, forcing
know
yourself
that
through
also
pain.
they did
I
a
don't
study-
happen to think females are every bit as tough as men, and
Yeah,
I'm
they did a
triggered,
study.
offended.
And I'm pretty sure that's
Disgusting.
let me not quote a fake study, but I'm pretty sure like women soccer players actually dive and stay on the floor for shorter time than men.
No,
Yeah,
I
women's
can
soccer
attest to
players
that.
are tough as
Yeah.
shit. I know a
Yeah,
bunch
No,
of them.
they play it
Men's
for real.
soccer players are,
Yeah. Like I saw remember
Whoa.
the Women's World Cup the year Japan won, where those little Japanese ladies, and that's not a racist thing, they were actually
That
shorter than
is
most of
at
the team.
least sexist. One of the two.
That's no look. They were.
You made
they
an
were,
observation.
They are. Listen. They were like all 5'2" and under. I'm not kidding. And these girls were getting roughed up. They were getting roughed up by literally every team they faced, and they didn't complain one time. They got right back up, and they won the World Cup. So
you know who I liked, whose style of soccer I liked? Two people in particular, Wayne Rooney and Gennaro Gattuso. Two people that were like, yeah, I'll take a red card. Why not?
Was a madman. He was a
Huh?
madman. Gattuso was a madman.
He was a madman. He was a
Yeah,
madman.
he took it a little bit over the edge. He's a coach now, which is hilarious. He's a coach in Napoli. Napoli.
Wow,
hey,
I'm
is
offended
he
by
part of
that
the Napoli
impression.
resurgence too? Like getting Napoli.
I don't know. Please don't kill me, Ultras. I don't know.
So, anyways, guys, anything else we want to talk about, or
No.
you want to prattle on about soccer?
No. That's where our other podcast, the Leg Kick Soccer Podcast. Anyway.
Wow, that was a good one. That was a good one. Anyways, yeah, we're here to talk about real sports, not soccer. So, guys, subscribe to the channel. You can find us where you find any podcast. It's YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever shitty podcast app works on Android. I use Android, but just not SoundCloud. SoundCloud is for the plebs.
We have a SoundCloud, by the way. So,
if you want to sponsor us, send us an email at theleggkick1@gmail.com. If you have a question for the podcast, also theleggkick1@gmail.com, or shoot on a message over to our Instagram. Dick pics, send them to theleggkick1@gmail.com as well, with Jeremy and Michael as the tagline, because they're the ones who want and demand and need your dick pics. To play us out, Mike, what is that?
The dick pics give me strength and power. In this crazy messed up world where, screw it, Darren Till doesn't deserve a title shot versus Israel Adesanya. Just remember, you got three things. You got life, you got family, and this podcast. We love you, Darren Till. Take it easy, everybody.